You ever wonder what Albus Dumbledore wrote in his diary right before he got beat up by the Human Torch in those NSA movies? I looked it up. Here's what he wrote. How do you balance character development with a sense of isolation in a spooky horror story? Good question, Al. Horror writing is tricky. Whether it's a movie or a game or a book, scaring people takes work. 1979, Alien, Sigourney Weaver, H.R. Giggles, Blade Runner, Bilbo Baggins, and Sigmund Freud. Magic! Fast forward like 30 years and you got Alien Isolation, a game that wanted to get back to Alien's spooky roots. I won't gush, but I really liked it. As great as this game was, mistakes were made. And the main complaint was with the writing. There were problems with the story, but what we really need to look at is the characters. Who are they? Who's this? Who's this? I don't know, and I beat the game. They were all in there, but I still don't know anything about them. It's mysterious. To be fair, the game has isolation in the title, and you spend most of your time off by yourself, but it's still got all these people, and even worse, some of them die. And that gets real awkward because if I'm not remembering their names, I definitely don't care if they die. But Amanda, the main character, she cares. She's over here getting choked up and I'm not. I just feel like I've missed something. Obviously these characters haven't been developed right if I'm over here like Amanda, Amy, can I call you Amy? I'm down with this morning stuff, but let's do it somewhere else. I mean, if you just stand here, looking at this festering carcass, old Banana Freud's gonna come over here and you're gonna get fucked! It's easy for me to sit over here and say, okay guys, look, just do a better job writing it. But it's not really that simple. Isolation. Isolation is a crutch in all kinds of horror writing, and the isolation itself is actually the dilemma. If we give all these characters the screen time that they need to matter, that's going to make the reader or the viewer or the player feel less alone. How do we fix this? It's easy to call someone out for falling short, but you're only a real gangster if you offer a solution. Why not get rid of all these people? I don't like them. The writer obviously didn't like them, and we don't need them. See, the premise for this game is that Amanda's looking for answers about what happened to her mom, Sigourney Weaver.
I know why you're working in the region where she went missing.
That's actually a pretty strong premise if we can be bothered to make the most of it. It's an important question to ask regardless of genre. If someone's not getting developed enough, sometimes you have to wonder if they should be there at all. Did this game actually need all these characters? Amanda's search for closure could have carried the entire game if it was done right, and the smaller cast would have made us feel even more alone. There's a lot of potential for emotional power in a personal story with a maternal hook. Just see The Freud Pyre Strikes Back or Angelina's New Princess Diaries. It's good stuff. It's even good stuff that's been clinically proven to work in the Alien universe. But nah, they didn't want to do that. That would have been too easy. It's cheating to just cut out all the bad stuff. A real American hero would find a way to just fix it all and make it work. So how do we keep all these characters in our spooky horror and make people care about them and still feel isolated? That sounds hard. Luckily, there's a little thing in the entertainment world called a Christmas miracle.
Hello.
A Christmas miracle is when people get invested in a character with very little time spent. True Christmas miracles are rare, but anyone can fake it by cheating.
They bought it.
Just look at Telltale's Walking Dead games. 5 minutes into the game, bam, there's Clem. It's like, it's a little girl, I'm protecting. Oh, you're gonna try to mess with Clem? I'll fuck you up! You've just met this girl and you'll do anything. They could have put microtransactions in this game. Zombies could have come out and the game could have been like, yeah, hey, pay $9.99 to save Clem. And people would have been like, yeah, sure, take my money. It's automatic. The player must protect this little girl. Not because the game makes them, but because it's a cheap shot that appeals to people's protective nature. Kid equals protect. Trust me, I've done the research. Merry Christmas, all of y'all.
Whatever.
But to ask a writer to snap their fingers and make everyone care without spending any time just isn't realistic. It's not a legit solution. With a book, you might like to stack your character development early to reinforce your hook. A movie might go the same way to bring up some stakes. But you don't necessarily have to play by those rules, and Alien Isolation could have done all sorts of things. For this game, Maybe you could open with the survival and the scares, and then bring in the characters and spend some time with them. Video game scares don't last forever. Once you're an hour or two in and you know how the game works, you aren't scared anymore. You're invested in your own success, and you can still feel tension from the possibility of failure, but you're not afraid. There comes a point in a horror story, not just video games, where we don't need to be afraid anymore, where we turn a sort of corner and now we want to see the characters overcome the adversary instead of running from it. Suppose this game had 3 acts. Act 1 has Amanda on her own dealing with the alien and being very scared. We are not going to miss the other characters during this period because we've got our hands full trying to stay off the menu. Act 2 lets go of the isolation and brings in the secondary cast that we just simply have to have, and we write them well enough that we don't want to see them dead. And Act 3 would have Amanda along with her friends back in the grinder with the player responsible for them. Something like that would check the box for isolated horror because of the first few hours when we were alone and scared. It's got the characters that we'll remember because this time we took the time to get to know them. A formula like that could potentially achieve what Alien Isolation apparently set out to do. But you could also do what the movie did and stack the isolation toward the end. I write a lot of isolated sci-fi horror myself, so I've run into these dilemmas a few times. I don't know if my approach is the best, but I do know that when you run into these kind of challenges, you shouldn't just give up and sandbag like Alien Isolation does. Magic plays a big role in horror writing, and maybe there's no way to guarantee a Christmas miracle, but there's no harm in giving it a shot. This particular story got away with its weak narrative because it was a video game, and the gameplay and the atmosphere were strong enough to carry it, but a book doesn't have that kind of crutch. Alien Isolation was solid enough that I could forgive a lot of its trespasses, but not all, like this gun. I'm not even complaining about the fact that this is a revolver in the future in space. I'm cool with that. It probably won't jam. But this is a spooky hide under the tables and hope the alien goes away game. Why would you give me a wicked cool 6-shooter gun? What did you think I was gonna do with it? Yeah, so I actually died a lot while I was playing this game. For some reason. So, people always talk about Alien like it's this great horror movie or whatever, but it's not even a horror movie. Yeah, sure, Ridley set out to make a chainsaw massacre in space or whatever, but it's not really horror. I mean, step back and look at it. You got your female lead, it's got a small cast in like a sort of enclosed setting, it's a spaceship, it's got a mystery, and the real giveaway, the cat. It's not a horror movie, it's a cozy mystery. It's the first of its kind, space cozy. It's the first space cozy. I think